Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an announcement. Today we have a brand new faction for you here in Tabs. Check this out. What are these? It's a snail, some weird giant, a baby dragon. It's a brand new dungeon faction in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Oh, and if you like Roblox content, brand new Roblox channel. Check it out, dude. The first units here in this dungeon faction are the Dungeon Foot Soldiers. Very cool. I like these units. Then you have Dungeon Thieves. I like the little chest band across the side there. Fantastic. One is got like a little sword, and the other hand looks like a little tiny knife. And then behind that are Dungeon Archers. Look really good. I like the coloring of the bow. That's a poacher's bow with a regular arrow. Interesting. Let's see how these units fare against a battalion of foot soldiers here. Oh! What? What are the thieves just doing? Okay, that's not how thieves are supposed to act. Thieves are sneaky. They get in behind. They go for the stab. They don't bull rush the front line and destroy it. Why are things frozen? Why are those frozen? Did the foot soldiers freeze? What's causing that? Is it the assassins? Oh, no, the foot soldiers are freezing things with their swords. How are they doing that? I want to step up the opposition for a second. Yeah, let's just grab some more of these, and then some more of these, and then some even more of these. Let's watch the thieves do the little bull rush again. Here we go. The fight begins. The thieves lean back. And then they thrust in kind of like super peasants, but without the punching. And they just bull rush their way through all these units, sending them flying in the sky. It's just disgusting. And then the sword units, yeah, they have some sort of freezing. It's like their weapon has an ice enchantment on it, and they're using it on these hoplites. But now the hoplites are starting to get in there. The numbers are starting to overwhelm these dungeon units, and now the archers are going down as well. So those are the first three of the dungeon units. There are way more, including some of the more offensive units you saw, but those are later in the video, obviously. Up next, we have 3 more units. Dungeon Knight. Looks really good. Looks like a wooden kind of feel to a lot of these units. Then you have Dungeon Priests. I like the hats. Those are really cool. And then Dungeon Mages, which look like witches wielding priest staves. I wonder what the mages are going to do. Let's see what they do against some of these units. The Knights are getting healed by the priests. Dungeon Priests healing Dungeon Knights. Very good. Knights being charged by the other Knights. Here on the Mages, wielding fireballs from the staves, bombarding the knights in the front line, the enemy knights, with the stabs. The mage is still alive, and it seems to be that the mages only shoot the fireballs from the stabs. I was wondering, are they going to cast firestorms? Are they going to cast ice storms? But it seems to me that these staff fireballs are everything the mages have to offer. And the priests are doing a great job keeping the mages alive as our archers go down. So those are the more basic units in this faction. Now to move on to the special units. These are the Dungeon Goblins. I like the way they gave them the pointy ears. That is fantastic. The bald head is great. The swords are like, they're beat up and they're vicious, but they're chipped and they're broken. Definitely something a goblin would wield. And then over here, you have the Goblin King. Love the crown, the ears, the outfit looks great, and he's much, much bigger than the regular goblins. Can the goblins take on the fencers? And the halberd units so far so good. I like that the goblins are nice and short in comparison to the humans, just as they're supposed to be, and the Goblin King being as big as a human makes a ton of sense. The problem is, most of the goblins are already dead because goblins are weak. Even the Goblin King is dead because goblins are weak. That is the first step of our cool units. Now, wait until you see these. Here you have an odd assortment of creatures, dungeon creatures. Up front, you've got dungeon snails. They're snails. The first time I've ever seen a snail in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and they're kind of cute. Not gonna lie, you can see the unit inside, the swirly snail shell looking fantastic, and there's a boatload of about 20 snails. And then you have a dungeon giant, which seems to be like an ogre armored up. Think Lord of the Rings, the ogre coming in the Mines of Moria, but this guy's got some body armor and a big old belt and a weapon. We got some of the faction here. Oh, whoa. What are the snails shooting? The snails are shooting balls. They're throwing balls at the peasants. And then here comes the dungeon giant, who is getting wrecked by the pikemen. Is the giant dead? The giant's dead. The giant got wrecked by the pikemen, and now balls being thrown by the snails, and the snail balls win. Snail balls, that's a phrase. Never thought I was gonna say that. Moving on, baby dragons. Baby dungeon dragons, clearly taking inspiration from the big dragon from the one mod. These guys are fantastic. How do they design the wings? They look really good. Do they fly? Let's find out. The dragons run along the ground. There are some hovering going on and the breathing fire on all of these samurai. Oh, he's so handsome. I love dragons. I'm a big fantasy nerd, and dragons are just cool, and they breathe fire on every single one of those dynasty units. So now we've got Mommy Dragon and her 3 baby dragons being attacked out of their lair against the Knights faction with King Philip. Now we're talking. Look at Mommy Dragon and baby dragons unleashed on all of these Knights. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, yes. I think the developers of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator need to make an actual dragon. That breath weapon coming out of that dragon is just so good. The baby dragons are gone. The baby dragons have been defeated, but now Mommy Dragon is in a rage, defeating these Knights, punishing them. She's flying in the sky. I didn't know Mommy Dragon could fly. I learned something today. Did I ever? I did not know. Because usually Mommy Dragon quickly defeats everything before the fight gets too long. But apparently, if you leave Mommy Dragon alone long enough, she flies into the sky. Breath weapon unleashing on the final units. Mommy Dragon, way stronger than the Knights. Now we move on to some of the more unique creations here in the dungeon faction. These are dungeon golems, and their arms are broken off in pieces coming off of their bodies. And this is the Dungeon Ferris. It seems like a more armored and upgraded version of the Dungeon Giant. I love the helmet. Kind of gives me the Mandalorian vibe, not going to lie. Here we go. Dungeon Golems moving in, going for the big old slam attack, sending the farmers flying. Imagine you're a farmer heading to your crops. You and your farmer friends. All of a sudden, these golems come and attack you. I love the belt on the golems. I love their legs, their long golem legs, the humongous long arms. Now we have 2 more units. The final 2. This is the Dungeon Abomination. Look at the tree is growing out of him. The plants growing out of this Dungeon Abomination. It's like the very rocks of the dungeon walls themselves came to life. And this is the dungeon boss. He's the final boss, the man waiting for you at the end of the dungeon. So I've created a battlefield. Got the dungeon monsters involved, the dungeon snails, the goblins, the golems, and then I've got the dungeon adventurers, the heroes of our story from this faction set to attack the dungeon enemies. Let's see what happens in this final fight. The dragon breathing fire, the Abomination going in with his humongous limbs, going after the dungeon mages and the dungeon archers. Where's our dungeon boss? There he is. The dungeon boss is fighting the dungeon thieves with a vicious weapon and swords coming out of the ground. Did you see that? Is that the weapon causing the swords to erupt from the ground? Imagine a boss fight with this AoE attack. Oh, that'd be brutal for a game. The Dungeon Dragon is like a car zooming around the map using its breath weapon. The Dungeon Abomination has wood-colored Legacy Impale. Like, it has the power over the earth, and the wood is coming up through it, and it seems that our dungeon adventurers were no match for these amazing Dungeon Abominations and this dungeon boss. This faction, so cool.